I'm Jesse Nyberg, a freelance graphic designer from California, and lately I've been swamped with so many things, from official client work to batching content creation, and it's all official shit that I'm very grateful for, but lately it's been burning me out. And of course, these are the things that pay the bills, yes, but it doesn't do much for your personal fulfillment as an artist. So today, I want to design something just for fun and chat a little bit more about the importance of that idea. It's weird too, because when you're busy as a freelancer with a bunch of creative work, it feels weird to complain about it. We're told that we should be grateful for all the things that come in this career, whether you're an artist, designer, videographer, any type of freelance creative profession, it can really feel like feast or famine. There are so many extreme ebbs or flows. And when you're busy with official client work, it's a signal that you're growing as a creative and your career is moving in the right direction. Especially since this kind of work just so volatile. It really feels like it all comes at once, or when you're sitting around needing projects, it's just crickets. And right now, I'm in one of those surplus of work moments. And everything is longer term projects that are pretty creatively fulfilling when it comes to like my career as a graphic designer. But they're all longer term, so that immediate gratification is not there at all. And at face value or on the internet, it looks like I'm quite honestly not that busy at all, because I don't have much to show for it at the moment. And I go through this loop of different phases of work where I barely have any clients, so I'm sitting around doing personal work, posters, concept work, whatever, and I'm stressed about when the next job I get is going to be. So it's like this weird loop of you're stressed without jobs, you're stressed with jobs. Maybe the problem is having to have a job in this world, but that's a discussion for a much longer video. So I'm not going to solve that right now, but at the very least, how I'm going to remedy this today is just create something just for fun. This random idea popped into my head the other day when I was driving around in my car, and I really want to see it all the way through. When you get those small just hits of inspiration, those seeds of ideas that Rick Rubin called them, I think you owe it to your inner child and your own creativity and growth as an artist to see those ideas through and at least try them out. The only rule I have for this creation is to not judge them by any rules. So this is by no means going to be a advanced technical presentation and how to do the coolest graphic design work possible. It's just about having an idea and seeing it all the way through. The goal is to enjoy the process and have fun and have a good time making stuff. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in the bigger picture and the larger process of everything that we forget why we started in the first place, and we forget to just sit back and enjoy creating something. The creating should be the value, not the creation. And if you enjoy the outcome, the secondary part of it, that's just gravy. That's even better. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. No one has to see it. You enjoyed making it, and you probably, as a byproduct, got a little bit better along the way. Original idea I had is to make some kind of poster or album art or design, I guess. It's just a square or rectangle graphic based off those little do not eat packets that you see in, like beef jerky and other stuff. It's like silica gel or something. And they always have this very unique style of design that's very like utilitarian and very familiar. It'll be like a basic sans serif or a basic serif, something like Arial or Times New Roman. But I always kind of liked how it felt, like bleeding to the edges of the margins. And it just felt like a core thing that we're all familiar with, but we don't really think about what goes behind to like making something like that. It's really hard to come up with an idea for personal work, especially when you don't have any copy. A lot of my work is typographic. When I started with that idea, I decided, we can make this into some kind of like Spotify playlist or something. We'll make some kind of concept album art. And this is a win-win because I want to do more album art. I like making it. I like designing in that form factor. And this was a new idea that I haven't really thought about before. So I decided for the entire playlist to be this very ethereal and dreamlike music. So combining that with the constraints of the Do Not Eat album art packet, we kind of had our core design brief, if you will, the basic scope of everything. And so designing the actual Do Not Eat packet was interesting at first because it's very standard, like I said, and there's not a lot of conceptual design that goes behind it. It's a very functional piece of typography. So I decided to just go off my best judgment. I didn't use any of those like font finders or anything, and I went with Arial and Times New Roman. And I had to actually mask out an entire one I found online. I found a high-ish quality scan of one, so I masked it out so I could get it nice and smooth and just use like content aware so I can put my own typography reminiscent of the writing that was on there before, but with the stuff that I wanted written on it. And I kind of followed a pretty similar layout to what they did, but the designer in me couldn't help but clean up the typography just a little bit. But I also wanted to add a bunch of little other small typographic elements all around it. Design an inside sleeve, back design, and all the actual record stickers itself. You know, when you're doing stuff for fun, that's kind of the beauty of it. You get to do as little or as much as you want. Yes, this is just a Spotify playlist cover for a kind of ethereal, dreamy playlist mix that I'm gonna have on Spotify. You can actually, I'll link it in the description actually. And yes, it is just that. But since I love making album art, I decided, you know, let's use the silica gel as the actual sleeve. Let's use this kind of warning, do not eat kind of design aesthetic with a bunch of type and stuff on the back with all the songs. I love working with type, so it's nice to do playlist or redesigns of albums, redesigns of movies, things that already have built-in existing a bunch of copy and information to use, because it gives you that freedom to experiment with how you want to lay out all the typography, and you don't just have to make up words and stuff in your mind to write up on the page. And this video, you know, is just as much a reminder to myself as it is to you all. I have been so wrapped up in so many things that I feel like I haven't actually been making the design type of things that I want to be doing. So it felt really good to just experiment and mess around. I don't want anyone to feel any type of pressure that they have to make stuff, but for you, I want you to want to make this kind of personal work and want to explore the things that you love about design and art and creativity. It's really about time that we get back to just making things for fun. Design should be fun. I was pretty stoked on how this design turned out. So let's hop in the computer and I'll show you just a little bit of the elements real quick and how this whole design turned out. We have the serif, sans serif, do not eat, just listen, kind of an ode to the original silica packet. And I know everyone kind of wanted to eat those when they were a kid. That was the original Tide Pod. And I just made sure to use a displacement map on here and print out the actual letters, so it felt more like a printed material and kind of went with the edges and everything. And I was just gonna have it just straight up like that, but I decided it was a little bit boring, so I just added some fun little small copy with this nice sans serif with a little bit of distressing on it, and I added some texture on it too, right, to make it feel a little bit more like tactile and a physical album art. And then for the back, I created this kind of almost like industrial style look with this do not eat like warning symbol type thing that I added a stroke to, and a bunch of other little ones I found online like toxic, warning, inspected by Cuesta studio. And then this was just a way I decided to break up all the different songs, right? So we have the song and the artist is an italicized, and it's broken into like different sides of the record or phases to kind of have it kind of all have that feel of a system. Really like the blue on black. It's a color I've been wanting to explore. And it was originally inspired by this image of the actual pack. These are the beads that are inside those packets. So I thought, what a great way to use this as the texture for the actual inside sleeve. And then that same little warning kid of eating the packet, that's the fill version of what's the stroke on here. And that's kind of how the system all came together, right? So if this was an official album art, this was kind of what I would envision would be the fun little rollout. And just because you get to make some stuff for fun doesn't mean it can't feel legit or have some kind of practical way to actually function if it were to be something real. But overall, I was pretty stoked on how the whole thing turned out, and I'm excited to see what kind of stuff you guys make for fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was really fun to go back to a format I've experimented with in the past, half talking, half design. Anyway, remember to just make some stuff for fun for yourself every once in a while. You owe it to that inner child and that creativity inside of you to really sit down every once in a while and explore that. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.